Thank you. Hi, I'm Sean Scott, The Economist. The Australian Bureau of Statistics tells us that Melbourne has had the strongest growth of all capital cities, adding approximately 77,000 people in 2011 to 2012, reaching a population of almost 4.25 million. This was the 11th year in a row that the ABS estimates that Melbourne led the nation's growth. In that time, the city's population has grown by more than 750,000 people, or almost a quarter, imposing new strains on an infrastructure designed for far fewer people. As our population continues to grow, this has had a positive effect on our economy. The more people in Melbourne, the more money being spent. Increased spending facilitates economic growth. The more money being spent results in an increased number of jobs becoming available, meaning higher employment levels. Higher employment and spending levels result in growing consumer and business confidence. These factors combined lead to good economic growth. The government has also played their part in stimulating the economy in recent recessions. They have done this by increasing their spending on major projects such as infrastructure. This has two direct benefits. Firstly, it creates jobs and lifting employment levels, meaning more people have money to spend. Secondly, the infrastructure being built, such as housing, is being put in place to accommodate the growing number of people in Melbourne. As expected, the more people living in our country, the more people to compete with when looking to buy a house. Population growth has resulted in making housing less affordable, especially in Melbourne, as there is a larger demand. There is a shortage of established homes and apartments relative to the amount of buyers in Melbourne's middle ring suburbs. As of March 2012, the median house price in Melbourne was $536,500. This has grown a substantial amount over the past year to now sit at $561,500. This displays increased demand levels when there is only a limited supply. The expansion of the urban sprawl of Melbourne cannot keep up with the ever-growing population, meaning house prices are continually rising.
Hi, I'm James Probert. As a property developer of the Melbourne Metropolitan District, I have the role in these circumstances to identify the underlying impacts that the population growth will have over the housing markets in regards to property construction and property development. According to the ABS, population forecasts indicate that over the next 30 years, Melbourne's growth will increase by approximately 925,000 people, applying significant pressures upon infrastructure and dwelling supplies. An enormous challenge that will be confronted by property developers like myself will be the provision of well-located, affordable housing types and forms that can be appropriately situated in well-established neighbourhoods surrounded by infrastructure. These new infrastructure developments should be carefully managed in sequence for efficiency reasons in order to meet the changing needs of the population. The State Treasurer Michael O'Brien has announced that by the 1st of June 2013, the state government will increase the first homeowners grant from $7,000 to $10,000 for newly constructed homes, and stamp duty for all first purchases will be decreased by 40%. According to Michael O'Brien, that with these announcements, Victorian families will be over $16,500 better off with the combination of the increased grant and stamp duty cuts. However, on the contrary, those that wish to purchase an existing property and intend to apply for the first homeowners grant no longer receive the $7,000 bonus, as it will be offset by the 40% stamp duty cuts for newly constructed homes. Although recent statistics from the Real Estate Institute of Victoria have exposed that first homeowners are more inclined to purchase existing homes, I do believe that this announcement will encourage greater infrastructure in newly constructed suburbs to meet the enormous population growth in Melbourne, around 15,000 people per week. While the growth areas will continue to play a major role in metropolitan development, the challenge will be to adopt a more systematic and compact approach to urban growth. To achieve a more sustainable urban form, new communities and neighbourhoods will need to be closely aligned to existing and planned physical infrastructure and social and community services. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mitch Nelson. I'm the planner. The growing population base of metropolitan Melbourne is having a marked effect on planning and future development of the markets in the area. The new suburban developments are one key indicator of the impressive swelling in population numbers affecting Melbourne. In recent times, Planning Minister Matthew Guys announced he would increase Melbourne's growth boundary by 5,058 hectares, including extending the boundary to encompass the town of Poland, land at Point Cook, Melton, Werribee near Pakenham. The new suburbs will include Diggers Rest near Sunbury, Lockerbie near Greenvale, Lockerbie North, Manor Lakes in Wyndham, Merrifield West in the city of Hume, and Rockbank North near Melton. Mr Guy said the suburbs will be sophisticated with town centres, local employment and health-related facilities like bike paths. The most recent urban growth boundary extension is smaller than the Brumby government's expansion in 2010, which increased the size of Melbourne by almost 40,000 hectares. This is proof that the ever-growing population numbers is having a large effect on future and current planning within metropolitan Melbourne. However, suburban growth corridors are not the only aspects that are being altered to deal with the swelling population. Road and rail links across all parts of Victoria are being altered and redeveloped to cope with the larger amount of vehicle traffic anticipated for the future. Some of the recent and current road developments include a new or upgraded freeway interchange and associated road network links between the Western Freeway and Backers Marsh Township, and a $24 million project to extend the Palmers Road overpass beyond the Princess Freeway and across the Werribee rail line to provide a direct road link between Point Cook and Williams Landing. Rail developments are more widespread, with an extra $49.7 million allocated to planning and developing the proposed 9-kilometre rail tunnel project that will link the Sunbury and Dandenong train lines, which include 5 new underground stations, as well as several other projects. Melbourne Metro are looking to further critically shape the city that will address the increasing demand for train services in Melbourne's growth areas in the north, west and southeast, as well as create the capacity needed for future expansion of the rail network. Planning across metropolitan Melbourne is to promote the controlled growth in the fringe suburbs. Its place is to control the values and growth movements within Melbourne. However, road and rail links nearly always promote higher values to the areas assessed, although sometimes reflecting an unhealthy property market growth that is, in some places, incorrect. In essence, it is hard to balance population growth with appropriate property values in growth corridors. Thank you.
How you going? As a community representative given the task of population growth in the Melbourne Metropolitan District, we will need to identify certain factors and elements that will be directly affected in regards to the desirability of Melbourne's suburban property market. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, we discover that the period between 2011 and 2012 we witnessed an enormous population growth of around 80,000 people in the suburban areas, consequently pushing the total population of the metropole area towards 4.25 million people. This represents a significant increase in population growth in contrast to other major cities, as Melbourne outgrew the second largest growth area in Perth by approximately 15,000 people in this period. This highlights various problems for the metropolitan area, as we can see greater pressure being placed upon infrastructure development and property markets, subsequently affecting transportation systems, hospitals and educational services. According to Michael Yardney, a Metropole property strategist, the city's population centres around Glen Iris, but most of its population growth came north and west of the Yarra, a dramatic change from the 20th century patterns which saw it spread in a lopsided way to the southeast. This has caused a significant diversification problems within certain areas, as we have seen specifically in Carlton and Fitzroy. These inner city areas have changed over time, having previously been populated by middle to high income earners of the working class. However, the last 20 years have been subjected to gentrification, leading to a more diverse and cultured younger age population. Ultimately, this has been caused due to the desirability for younger, lower income earners to be situated closer to the CBD and working opportunities. This reflects the changing status quo within society, as demand and business investment levels have dramatically risen to meet these specifications, thus causing supply shortages within these inner city suburbs of Melbourne.